Right. We are live. Today, let's again do the stream on city. It's been a long time since we covered a city. Beautiful place. I've been to Barcelona. Barcelona is pretty beautiful. You can hike up all over here. Look what sunset. Look at the entire city. Beautiful. It's beautiful. Vibrant city located on the northeastern coast of Spain, serving as the capital and largest city of the autonomous community of Catalonia. The population of approximately 1.6 million within its city limits. It extends to an urban area that includes numerous neighboring municipalities, housing around 5.3 million people, making it one of the largest metropolises on the Mediterranean Sea. Major cultural, economic, and financial center in southwestern Europe, recognized as a leading world city with a Beta Plus status. What is a Beta Plus status? What? A leading world city with a Beta Plus status. Okay, we'll look into that. It is the main biotech hub in Spain. Biotech hub has a rich cultural heritage highlighted by architectural works of Antoni Gaudi and Louis Dominic Femier. One I Montane, which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The city hosts prestigious universities like the University of Barcelona and Pompeu Fabra University, and it was the venue for the '92 Summer Olympics. Barcelona is a top tourist destination known for its historical monuments, beaches, and vibrant cultural scene. It was the 20th most visited city in the world by international visitors in 2011. Hmm, I'm curious what are the rankings now? I see. Let's Grok. What are the top 10 most visited city in the world by international visitors? Let's see. Bangkok, Thailand. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's also about yeah, it's if we talk about numbers, it will mainly be compensated or it will mainly account for the developing countries. Where are they going to? What can they afford? The Bangkok, Thailand, definitely. International visitors 20 to 32 million, varies by year and source 32.4 million in 24 per Euro monitor. Vibrant street food, stunning temples like the Grand Palace, and bustling markets. Paris, France. City of Light draws visitors with iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and its romantic ambience. London, United Kingdom, 18.8 to 19.1 million. Rich history landmarks like Big Ben and Buckingham Palace and a thriving cultural scene make London a perennial favorite. Hmm, London is at the top. I'm really surprised based on all the crime that we are hearing from London. Very surprising. Dubai, definitely. 15.9 to 16.8 million. Famous for luxury shopping, futuristic architecture, Burj Khalifa, and desert adventures. Dubai's global tourism hotspot. Istanbul. Istanbul is beautiful. Uh, yeah, the mosque, the water, straddling Europe and Asia. Istanbul offers historical sites like the Hagia Sophia, vibrant bazaars, and a unique cultural blend. And it's definitely really cheap. It is very cheap. Singapore. Clean, modern city state with attractions like gardens by the Bay, Marina Bay Sands, and a blend of Asian cultures. New York City. Big Apple attracts visitors with Times Square, Statue of Liberty, and its status as a cultural and financial capital. Antalya, Turkey. Oh, that is crazy. 12.4. Mediterranean resort city known for its beaches, historic sites like Hadrian's Gate, and luxury tourism. Whoa, I've heard the name before, but I didn't know it was top 10 most visited city. And it's actually a Mediterranean resort city known for its beaches, historic sites like Hadrian's Gate, and luxury tourism. Tokyo and Hong Kong, known for its skyline, Victoria Harbor, and riverless gateway between east and west. It sees significant traffic, especially from mainland China. A mix of ultra modern technology, traditional temples, and unique cultural examples. Shibuya crossing Mount Fuji nearby draws crowds. Ranking shift slightly year to year. For instance, Bangkok topped the list in 24 with 32.4 million visitors. Okay, so what's the difference between 10 and 1? 14.7 to 20.5 and 22 point to 32. Okay, almost 1.5 difference, not that much. Bangkok, Singapore, and Hong Kong have seen strong growth post-pandemic, while European classics like Paris and London remain staples. London, Paris, New York remain the staple. Then you have Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo. Turkey's rise, Istanbul, and Antalya highlights its growing appeal. That is really cool. Okay, let's see some pictures. Oh, yeah, Turkey. That's perplexing. Wow, wow, what are we looking at here? Oh, okay, that's AI generated luxury signature. Antalya city in Turkey. Hmm, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Wow, where are they getting these pictures from? Beautiful. Vibrant city on the Mediterranean coast known for its rich history, stunning beaches, and thriving tourism industry. Major tourist destination often referred to as capital of tourism in Turkey. 24, it welcomed over 17 million visitors, setting a record for the highest annual number of visitors. The city aims to attract over 18.5. I think this is the new Amalfi Coast, attract over 18.5 million tourists in 25 with a particular focus on increasing French visitor numbers. Hmm. Founded around 200 BC by King Attalus II of Pergamon, Antalya has a history that spans from Hellenistic to Ottoman times. The city's historical core, Kalisi, showcases Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman influences with its narrow cobblestone streets, Ottoman era houses, and landmarks like Hadrian's Gate. Cultural attractions: the city boasts numerous historical sites, including the Museum, Antalya, Antalya, which houses significant artifacts from the region's rich past. Other notable attractions include the ancient cities of Perch, Aspendos, the names are cool, Aspendos, and the Seljuk era architecture within Kalisi. Natural beauty surrounded by Taurus Mountains and features beautiful beaches like Konyaaltı and Lara, as well as natural wonders like Duden and Kursunlu waterfalls. I think this is Kursunlu. Kursunlu. Look at this photo. Which photo? This photo. This photo is really cool. Tourism plays a pivotal role in Antalya's economy, contributing significantly to the national economy. The city's tourism sector has seen a steady increase in visitor numbers and per capita tourist spending, with expectations of further growth in 25. Despite its popularity, Antalya faces challenges with infrastructure, particularly in integrating Geesekondu neighborhoods into the city's fabric. However, large-scale development and governmental funding have made it a prime destination for tourists. Oh, but is giving me Turkish here. We definitely left Barcelona, but it's known for sports a lot. Juan Laporta, the club's president, and Caracol filed a complaint over the officiating in a recent Clasico match. Club's focus on homegrown talent is seen as testament for the bright future. Likeliest champions of the UEFA Champions League. Speculation on goalkeeper potentially renewing his contract with Barcelona. Seat of the Catalan government with a city council formed by 41 elected city councillors. contributed significantly to Catalonia's economy, which is one of the richer regions in Europe. The city itself has a high GDP per capita in 2004. Yeah, I think we have moved to Antalya now because it's very interesting. I didn't know this was one of the top 10 cities in the world for international visitors. Okay, Antalya, Cyprus, Greece, Bulgaria. This is the Turkey. This is Istanbul over here. What are we looking at? Chronology. Turkey's 700-year long venture in science and technology. What are we looking at here? Chronology on science from the East, techniques from the West. Science from the East, techniques from the West. Turkey's 700-year long venture is compiled by Professor Dr. Feza, Department of the History of Science, Istanbul University. Sought knowledge for centuries long and tried to confirm the knowledge they accumulated through observations and experimentation and eventually decipher the laws of nature. This chronology aims to reflect the mobility of knowledge between Central Asia and Western Europe throughout a timeline starting in the late 13th century and reflects the Ottomans' quest for knowledge both in the East and the West. The major objective is to attract lay attention to history of science and promote efforts for the preservation of material, scientific instruments, documents, software, etc., pertaining to the history of science and technology. This chronology has been previously published in the catalog Pursuing Knowledge, 2016, prepared for the exhibition Pursuing Knowledge, Scientific Instruments, Manuscripts, and Prints from Istanbul University Collections, organized by the Department of History of Science, Istanbul University on the occasion of 35th Scientific Instrument Symposium. Looking for the science in the East, during the 14th century, the Ottomans established their principality in Western Anatolia. And Anatolia, 31, First Ottoman Madras in Iznik, Nisia, with the Sufi scholar Davudu Keseri as headmaster at 1400 First Ottoman Hospital, Darussifa in Bursa. 21, Rumi, a scholar from Bursa in Western Anatolia, completed in summer Samarkand his commentary on Shams al-Din, discussing theorems selected from Euclid's Elements. Commentary on became a very popular in Ottoman Medres and has long-lasting effects on teaching of mathematics in Turkey. It was to be translated into Turkish at the end of 18th century. On display. Hmm. Ptolemy's geography was rendered from Greek into Arabic by Georgius at Faith Sultan Mehmed's behest. Book of the Shahs of the Shahs, Shahin Shahnama, the demolition of the Taqiyuddin's observatory. The first Greek printing press established in Istanbul, the opening of the first medical school, formalizing medical education given in hospitals, first Armenian printing press established, second world map, epitome of astronomy, the book of the ocean, the introduction of European geographical and cartographical knowledge, Copernicus's heliocentric system through the translation of astronomical tables into Arabic and Turkish. The translator was Goz Ibrahim Effendi. The personal physician to Sultan Mehmed IV writes his treatise about the hydrochemical therapies into Arabic. Perfection in the treatment of human body. Highest perfection in the treatment of human body. Geography book Atlas Mayor into Turkish. Watching Europe's growing superiority initiatives in modernizing the Ottoman army. The Ottoman ambassador in France visits the Paris Observatory, military institutions, and industrial workshops. The first press to print Turkish books with Arabic characters is founded by Ibrahim in Istanbul. The Italian general work on military techniques is partly translated into Turkish. Early initiatives to remodel the Ottoman army after those of European powers' mathematics courses are given to 300 bombardiers under the supervision of Comte de Bonneval. This program was not sustained and the corps of bombardiers was reorganized. Help for believers. Introducing hydrochemical therapies to Turkish readership. French engineers and experts are employed in the engineering school of the arsenal, contributing to shipbuilding and further technical education. Compendium on the sextant used for measuring altitudes. School of Geometry founded on the premises of the arsenal at the Golden Horn to train officers knowledgeable in mathematics and geography, supervised by Baron de Thought. The school was transformed into the engineering school of the arsenal in 81 and subsequently the Imperial School of Naval Engineering. Translation of Sebastian Lepest de Vauban's work on martial arts from French to Turkish. The School of Engineering is founded. Modernization expands beyond the military. In computing calendars in the Ottoman Empire, the chief astrologer astronomer translates into Turkish the chapter on calendar computing, astronomical tables. The Janissary reaction and destruction of the modern army established in 1793 by Sultan Selim III. Abolition of the Janissary Corps. The opening a modern military medical school. Four young Ottomans mentored are sent to Paris to be trained in military sciences. Graduates and officers of the Imperial Engineering School sent to Europe with state funding to further their technical education. Pasha, a graduate from the Imperial Engineering School, leaves for Europe to study at the École des Mines. École des Mines. Opening of the military academy. There's a tight relationship between Turkish and French. Seems like elements of chemistry. Telegraphic lines put into service. Proclamation of the Reform Edict authorizing equality of all citizens under the law and granting civil and political rights to all Ottoman subjects regardless of creed and nationality. The first Ottoman Imperial Medical Society is founded at the end of Crimean War. Publication of Gazette, first railway connecting the province of Aden and the Izmir port. Foundation of Ottoman Learned Society. Semiyet Osmaniye with the initiatives of Munif Pasha. The publication, the first popular science journal. The opening of Ottoman University, lectures are given for 2 years long. The first physics expo in Turkish by Dervish Pasha. Riyadh al-Muttar. Riyadh al-Muttar, the display, the opening of the Imperial Bacteriology Institute with cooperation with the Pasteur Institute Paris, the opening of the first civilian veterinary school, the proclamation of the second constitution, the foundation of the Kandili Observatory, Mekir Burner, Institute of Chemistry in the Faculty of Science, Turkish War of Independence, proclamation of Turkish Republic, sending our students to European universities by the Turkish Republic for training in engineering. Applied science and social science. Following World War II, students were dispatched to American universities back to Turkey. They were instrumental in the running of newly founded industrial plants and educational institutions and the implementation of modern science and technology in Turkey. First radio broadcast, Latinization of the Turkish alphabet, the foundation of Hygiene Institute in Ankara, abolishment, the process of Ataturk University reform, and the re-establishment of the Istanbul University. The appointment of German scholars, the telescope building of Kandili. I'm so, okay, after a long time. The creation of a botanical garden in the Faculty of Science in Istanbul University by Alfred. Opening of Istanbul University Observatory. First television broadcast in Turkey. Signs a cooperation agreement with US within the framework of Atoms for Peace program. Atoms for Peace. Foundation of the Atomic Energy Commission affiliated to the Prime Ministry. First computers in Turkey are used by the Directorate for Highways. The first locally designed automobile, Devrim Revolution, is produced. Turkey's first research reactor becomes critical. Opening of Ankara University construction. National Seed Bank is created to preserve genetic diversity. Access to Internet. Foundation of Turkish Academy of Science. Opening of Turkish scientist Aziz received Nobel Prize in Chemistry in recognition of his researches on DNA repair mechanism. Hmm. Discovering the city. Varga, Aspendos, Termissos, Olympos, steeped in history and is home to numerous critical archaeological monuments that lighten the region's prehistoric cultures. Prehistoric cultures. Hellenistic period, Antalya, originally known as Italia, was founded around 150 BC. 150 BC by King Attalus II of Pergamon. The city was named in his honor and served as a naval base for his powerful fleet. Recent archaeological discoveries suggest that the city might have been established even earlier in the 3rd century BC due to its favorable location as a port city. It was bequeathed to the Romans by Attalus III in 133 BC. It became part of the Roman province of Pamphylia Secunda, with Perga as its capital. During this period, the city prospered and Christianity began to spread in the region with visits from Paul of Tarsus and Barnabas. Byzantine and Seljuk periods. Antalya was a Byzantine stronghold during the Middle Ages and served as an embarkation point for troops during the Crusades. It was captured by the Seljuk Turks in 1207 under the rule of Khosrow, becoming a significant town and port in the region. Ottoman Empire. Although first occupied by Ottoman Sultan Bayezid I in 1391, Antalya's full incorporation into the Ottoman Empire was delayed until the late 15th century. Due to disruption caused by Timur's invasion, the city was officially incorporated in 1423 by Sultan Murad II. 20th century. In the aftermath of World War I, Italia was briefly occupied by Italian troops in 1919 as part of the post-war division of the Ottoman Empire. However, Turkish nationalist forces drove out the Italians in July 1921. Antalya has evolved into a major tourist destination known for its historical sites, beautiful beaches, and a gateway to the Turkish Riviera. The city's historical core, Kalisi, showcases a blend of Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman influences with landmarks like Hadrian's Gate. One of the most important historical sites. Hadrian's Gate, built in 130 AD to honor the visit of Emperor Hadrian. This triumphal arch is one of Antalya's most iconic landmarks. It serves as the entrance to Kalisi, the old city center, and features intricate carvings and inscriptions. Here, right here. Historical sites in Antalya. Antalya was founded by Attalus II, king of Pergamon in 150 BC, but the ancient sites remaining in the city date from Antalya's Roman period. The most famous ancient landmark built by Roman emperor in the whoa, whoa, whoa. This site looks very weird. These imposing double arches. I think this is Amalfi Coast. This is Amalfi Coast, right? This is Amalfi Coast. This is Amalfi City, Amalfi Village. The architecture in Khaleesi is predominantly from the Ottoman period, but the walls surrounding the old city date from Roman times. Also, in the old center are the remains of the Korkut Mosque. Oh no, oh no, it'll be open. The structure was originally built as a Roman temple in 2nd century, was later converted into Byzantine church. Seljuk Mosque, a church during the Crusades, and finally an Ottoman mosque. Along the city wall stands the Hidil Hidillik Tower, an ancient fortification looking over Khaleesi's harbor. Termissos. For the athletic explorer, Termissos makes a great day trip. Less than half an hour from Antalya's center lie the remains of this ancient city on mountain top. Alexander the Great found it impenetrable. But with a good pair of hiking boots, you can climb the rocky terrain and be rewarded by the magnificent side of the theater built in the mountain. From Flickr. Aspendos and Perch. One of the most popular day trips from the city of Antalya is a visit to Aspendos and Perch. One of the best preserved theaters of the ancient world is theater still in use for summer opera performances. Perch is one of the most extensive remains in the region, and unlike Termissos, is flat and easily walkable. If you prefer to combine ancient ruins with beautiful beaches, there are several options as well. Olympus and Sirali, whose beaches are popular spots for day or weekend trips. Built during the Hellenistic period, parts of the Olympus theatre can still be seen. There are also remains of the Roman bathhouse and a Byzantine church. The necropolis has more than 200 inscribed tombs. 3 kilometers north of Shirali is the site of the Chimera, the eternal flame, consisting of over 20 vents in the ground on the hillside above the temple of Hephaestus. The Chimera emits methane, which can spontaneously ignite. Cedars in ancient time could navigate by the flames, but today the fire is used primarily to brew tea. We used to do big things back in those days. Today we just brew tea. Read latest version. Okay. Emperor Hadrian. Okay. The old town of Antalya Kalisi showcases a blend of architectural styles from Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman periods. It's a living monument with narrow cobble streets. Archaeological Museum. This museum houses artifacts from the region's rich past, offering insights into Antalya's history from prehistoric times to the Ottoman era. Located 19 kilometers east of Antalya, which was one of the most important cities of ancient Pamphylia. The site includes a theater, bath, a colonnaded street, and other significant structures. Aspendos, known for its well-preserved Roman theater, Aspendos is a must-visit for its impressive acoustics and historical significance. The site also includes aqueducts and other ruins. Termissos, an ancient city perched on a mountain, offers a glimpse into the past with its ruins, including a theater, gymnasium, and necropolis. Yivli, striking example of Seljuk architecture, the Yivli Minaret or fluted minaret is part of a mosque complex with rich decorations and historical significance. Village of Kelkoi, this castle provides views of the Mediterranean and contains ancient Lycian sarcophagi, offering insights into Byzantine and Ottoman periods. Impressive Lycian rock tombs and large Roman theatre Myra provides a window into the Lycian civilization and its integration into the Roman Empire. Established by the people of Rhodes around 7th century BC, Pheselis is an ancient port city known for its amphitheater, agora, and baths. St. Nicholas Church, Greek church, dates back to the 6th century and is famous for being the burial ground of St. Nicholas of Myra. Very interesting. Okay. Tell me the story of King Attalus II of Pergamon. Philadelphus, born in 220 BC, was the second son of Attalus I Soter and Queen Polonus of Cyzicus. His epithet, epithet Philadelphus means brother loving, reflecting his close relationship with his elder brother. Brother loving, okay? Philadelphus. Philadelphus, brother loving. Wow, what is that? Yumenes Jew, whom he succeeded as king of Pergamon in 159 BC. Before ascending to the throne, Attalus II was an accomplished military commander. 192 BC, he was sent by Eumenes to Rome to warn against Antiochus III. In 190 BC, participated in the Battle of Magnesia, which resulted in a Roman victory over the Seleucids. Around 189 BC, he led Pergamon forces alongside the Roman army under Gnaeus Manlius Vulso in the Galatian War. From 182 to 179 BC, successfully defeated the kingdom of Pontus under Pharnaces I, gaining territory. In 172 BC, he briefly assumed the throne when Eumenes was believed to be dead, but ceded power back to his brother upon his return. Reign and diplomacy. Upon Eumenes' death in 159 BC, he became king. He married his brother's widow, Stratonis of Pergamon in 158 BC. He maintained close ties with Rome, making frequent diplomatic visits and sending envoys like Andronicus of Pergamum. With Roman assistance, he fought against Prusias II of Bithynia. He, along with Ptolemy VI, Ariads V, and Rome, supported Alexander Ballas in his successful bid to seize the Seleucid throne from Demetrius I. 149 BC, he helped Nicomedes II Epiphanes seize the Bithynian throne from his father Prusias II. Cultural contributions. Known for his patronage of the arts and science, he founded the cities of Philadelphia and Italia, modern day Antalya. He was an inventor credited with creating a new kind of embroidery. Later years and legacy, in his old age, he relied on his chief minister, Philopomen, to help govern. He died in 138 BC and was succeeded by his nephew, Dallas III. The expansion of the Pergamon kingdom, the establishment of important cities, his reputation as a loyal brother and a friend to Rome. Dallas II's reign marked a period of stability and growth for Pergamon, with his diplomatic skills and military prowess ensuring the kingdom's prominence in the Hellenistic world. What is the Hellenistic world? Macedonia, Epirus, Asian League, Seleucid Kingdom, Caria, Crete, Aegean Sea. Wait, I think this is the Rolls-Royce thing. Maybe. Asia Minor, Seleucid Kingdom, Arabia, Africa, Bactria, Parthia. Hellenistic rule refers to the period between death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE and the conquest of Egypt by Rome in 31 BCE. This era is characterized by the spread of Greek culture, language, and influence across a vast region that included the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and parts of Asia following Alexander's conquest. Cultural fusion, the period saw significant blending of Greek culture with the culture of the region Alexander conquered, including Egypt, Persia, and parts of India. This cultural exchange led to the development of a common Greek dialect known as Koine Greek, which became the lingua franca of the ancient world. Hellenistic art and architecture were marked by a focus on theatricality, drama, and a greater emphasis on emotion and movement and sculpture. The period also saw the rise of Corinthian order in architecture alongside changes in the Doric and Ionic orders, philosophy, and science. This era was a time of intellectual flourishing and the development of philosophies like Stoicism, Epicureanism, and Pyrrhonism. Pyrrhonism. So we'll learn more about this philosophy. Notable figures include Euclid, mathematics, and Archimedes in various scientific fields. Religion expanded to include new gods and practices from other cultures, such as the Greco-Egyptian god Serapis and the worship of Eastern deities like Attis and Cybele. Ruler cults also became common, with Hellenistic kings and queens being worshipped alongside traditional gods. After Alexander's death, his empire was divided among his generals, leading to the establishment of Hellenistic kingdoms, like the Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom, and the Kingdom of Pergamon. These kingdoms were influenced by local cultures while promoting Greek culture. Urban planning. Cities in the Hellenistic world were often planned with dramatic urban layouts focusing on natural settings and creating impressive civic spaces. The Stoa of Adelos in Athens, built under the patronage of King Attalus II of Pergamon, is an example of this architectural trend. Cultural exchange. The Hellenistic period facilitated greater cultural exchanges, leading to a cosmopolitan outlook among the Greeks. This period also saw the rise of mystery, cults, and a fascination with the afterlife. Therefore, represents a unique era where Greek culture not only spread but also evolved through interaction with diverse civilizations, leading to a rich tapestry of art, science, philosophy, and religion that influenced the subsequent development of Western civilization. Hellenistic period. The Winged Victory, the Winged Nike, is considered one of the greatest masterpieces of Hellenistic art. Covers a time in Greek history after classical Greece between the death of Alexander the Great and the death of Cleopatra 6, 7, which was followed by the ascendancy of the Roman Empire as signified by the Battle of Actium. Battle of Actium, naval battle fought between Octavian's maritime fleet led by Marcus Agrippa and the combined fleets of both Mark Antony and Cleopatra. The battle took place on 2nd September 31 BC in Ionian Sea. And the Roman conquest of Ptolemaic Egypt the following year, which eliminated the last major Hellenistic kingdom. Its name stems from the ancient Greek word Hellas, which was gradually recognized as the name for Greece, from which the modern historiographical term Hellenistic was derived. Hmm. The word Hellas, which was gradually recognized as the name for Greece, from which the modern historiographical term Hellenistic was derived. The term Hellenistic is to be distinguished from Hellenic in that the latter refers to Greece itself, particularly the Hellenized Middle East after the conquest of Alexander the Great. After the Macedonian conquest of Achaemenid Empire in 330 BC and its disintegration shortly after in the partition of Babylon and subsequent wars of Diadochi, wars of Alexander's successors, series of conflicts fought between the generals of Alexander the Great, known as Diadochi, over who would rule his empire following his death. Dynastic kingdoms were established throughout West Asia, Northeast Africa, West Asia, Seleucid Empire, Kingdom of Pergamon, Northeast Africa, Ptolemaic Kingdom, South Asia, Greco-Bactrian Kingdom, Indo-Greek Kingdom. This resulted in an influx of Greek colonists and the export of Greek culture and language to these new realms, a breadth spanning as far as modern-day India. These new Greek kingdoms were also influenced by regional indigenous cultures adopting local practices where deemed beneficial, necessary, and convenient. Hellenistic culture thus represents a fusion of the ancient Greek world with that of the Western Asian, Northeastern African, and Southwestern Asian worlds. The consequence of this mixture gave rise to a common Attic-based Greek dialect known as Koine Greek, Koine, which became the lingua franca throughout the ancient world. We shall speak. Etymology, sources, papyri. Papyrus served as the predominant medium for handwritten documents across the Hellenistic world, though its production was confined to Egypt. Due to Egypt's arid climate, papyrus manuscripts were almost exclusively preserved there as well. That being said, the different historical periods were not represented equally in the papyrological documents. Texts from the reign of Ptolemy I are notably scarce, while those from the reign of Ptolemy II are more frequently encountered. This is owing in part to the large quantities of papyri which were stuffed into human and animal mummies during his rule. Papyri have been classified into public and private documents, including literally text, laws and regulations, official correspondence, petitions, records, and archives, or collections of documents belonging to individuals of position and authority. Significant information about the Ptolemaic kingdom, which might otherwise have been lost, has been preserved in papyrological documents. Particularly noteworthy given the limited documentation available for their Seleucid counterparts. Around after his death, during a decade of campaigning, Alexander conquered the whole Persian Empire, overthrew the Persian king Darius III. The conquered lands include Asia Minor, Assyria, Assyria, major ancient Mesopotamian civilization that existed as a city-state from the 21st century to 14th century, the Levant sub-region that borders hmm, Levant, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Media, Medes, ancient Iranian people who spoke the Median language, Persia, and parts of modern Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the steppes of Central Asia. Steppes. The years of constant campaigning had taken a toll, however, and Alexander died in 323 BC. After his death, the huge territories Alexander had conquered became subject to a strong Greek influence, Hellenization, non-Greeks. For the next 2 or 3 centuries until the rise of Rome in the west and the Parthia in the east. As the Greek and Levantine cultures mingled, the development of a hybrid Hellenistic culture began and persisted even when isolated from the main centers of Greek culture. It can be argued that some of the changes across Macedonian Empire after Alexander's conquest and during the rule of Diadochi would have occurred without the influence of Greek rule. As mentioned by Peter Green, numerous factors of conquest have been merged under the term Hellenistic period. Specific areas conquered by Alexander's invading army, including Egypt, areas of Asia Minor, and Mesopotamia, fell willingly to conquest and viewed Alexander as more of a liberator than a conqueror. In addition, much of the area conquered will continue to be ruled by Diadochi, with the rival generals, families, and friends of Alexander the Great who fought for control over his empire after his death, marked the beginning of Hellenistic period from the Mediterranean Sea. This is really cool, Diadochi. Initially, the whole empire was divided among them, however, some territories were lost relatively quickly, or only remained nominally under Macedonian rule. Only much reduced and rather degenerate states remained. Diadochi. The distribution. Many essentially autonomous territories called satrapies, governor of the province of the ancient Median and Persian Empire. Without a chosen successor, there were immediate disputes among these generals as to who should be king of Macedon. These generals became known as Diadochi, successors, and the infantry supported the candidacy of Alexander's half-brother, Meleager, Macedonian officer who served under Alexander the Great. He was one of the generals that accompanied the king in his conquest to conquer Asia Minor, one of the most experienced among them. Philip Philip III Arrhidaeus was king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia from 323 until his execution. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He was the son of King Philip II of Macedon by Rida and thus an elder half-brother of Alexander the Great. Well, he was executed. While Perdiccas was a Macedonian general, successor of Alexander the Great and regent of Alexander's empire after his death. When Alexander was dying, he entrusted his signet ring to Perdiccas, initially the most prominent of the successors. Wow, wow. Philip Arrhidaeus, while Perdiccas, the leading cavalry commander, supported waiting until the birth of Alexander's child by Roxana, sometimes known as Roxane, Roxana, and Roxane was a Sogdian or a Bactrian princess whom Alexander the Great married after defeating Darius, ruler of the Achaemenid Empire and invading Persia. Supported the candidacy of Alexander's half-brother, while Perdiccas, the leading cavalry commander, supported waiting until the birth of Alexander's child by Roxana. After the infantry stormed the palace of Babylon, a compromise was arranged. Arrhidaeus, Philip III, should become king and should rule jointly with Roxana's child, assuming that it was a boy as it was becoming Alexander IV, erroneously called Agus in modern times, was the posthumous son of Alexander the Great by his wife Roxana Bactria. As his father's only surviving legitimate child, Alexander IV inherited the throne of Macedonian Empire after him, however, was murdered in his early teens, never wielding actual power. He was their second child together and the only one to survive infancy. There were dissension in the Macedonian army regarding the order of succession, while the infantry supported Alexander the Great's half-brother, who had some unknown cognitive disability present throughout his life. The Chiliarch, the Chiliarch, military ranking dating back to antiquity, commander of the elite companion cavalry. The companions were the elite cavalry of the Macedonian army from the time of King Philip II, achieving their greatest prestige under Alexander the Great. Regarded as the first or among the first shock cavalry used in Europe, formed the elite guard. persuaded them to wait in the hope that Roxana's child would be male. The factions compromised, deciding that Perdiccas would rule the empire as regent while Philip would reign, but only as a figurehead with no real power. If the child was male, then he would be king. Alexander IV was born in late 323 BC. Military failure in Egypt and mutiny in the army, Perdiccas was assassinated by his senior officers. Severe regency, military failure. Problems with Diodorus's chronology have made the year uncertain, after which Antipater was named as the new regent, Macedonian general regent and statesman under the successive kingship of Philip II and his son Alexander the Great, as the new regent at the partition of Trapadisus. He brought with him Roxana and the two kings to Macedon and gave up the pretense of ruling Alexander's empire, leaving former provinces in Egypt and Asia under the control of satraps. When Antipater died in 319 BC, he left Polyperchon played an active role in the ensuing battles for control. Macedonian general who had served under Philip II and Alexander the Great as successor, passing over his own son, Cassander. Following the treaty, defenders of the Argead dynasty began to declare that Alexander IV should now exercise full power and that a regent was no longer needed, since he had almost reached the significant age of 14, the age at which a Macedonian noble could become a court page. Cassander's response was definitive. To secure his rule in 309 BC, commanded Glaucias to secretly assassinate the 14-year-old Glaucias of Macedon was an officer of the companion cavalry. He may be the Glaucias who won Cassander's order murdered Alexander IV and his mother Oxana in citadel of Amphipolis. And his mother, the orders were carried out and they were both poisoned. There is controversy about the exact year of Alexander IV's death because of conflicting sources, with the consensus of ancient Macedonian scholars N.G.L. Hammond and F.W. Wallbank was that Alexander was killed late in the summer of 309 BC, shortly after his alleged half-brother Heracles. However, classical historian Peter Green contends that Heracles was killed after Alexander IV's assassination. On the royal tombs discovered by the archaeologists in the so-called Great Tumulus is believed to belong to Alexander IV. Wow. Civil War. Taking control of the Greek cities, his fleet were destroyed. The battle Cassander assumed full control of Macedon. Polyperchon was forced to flee to Epirus, followed by Roxana and the young Alexander. A few months later, Olympias was able to persuade a relative to invade Macedon. When Olympias took the field, Eurydice's army refused to fight against the mother of Alexander and defected to Olympias. Olympias was immediately executed while the king and his mother were taken prisoner and held in the citadel of Amphipolis. Amphipoli. Amphipoli under the supervision of Glaucias. And the general peace between Cassander, Antigonus Ptolemy, and Fernando III Diadoc War. The peace treaty recognized Alexander IV's rights and explicitly stated that when he came of age, he would succeed Cassander as ruler. Wow, wow, wow. Pericles himself would become regent in Meleager his lieutenant. Soon, however, Perdiccas and Meleager and the other infantry leaders murdered and assumed full control. The generals who had supported Perdiccas were rewarded in the partition of Babylon by becoming satraps on the various parts of empire. Perdiccas' position was shaky because, as Aenean writes, everyone was suspicious of him, and he of them. The first of the Diadochi Wars broke out when Perdiccas planned to marry Alexander's sister Cleopatra and began to question Antinogus I Monophthalmus' leadership in Asia Minor. Okay. Perdiccas planned to marry Alexander's sister Cleopatra. Antigonus fled for Greece and then, together with Antipater and Craterus, the satrap of Cilicia, who had been in Greece fighting the Lemnian War, invaded Anatolia. The rebels were supported by Lysimachus, the satrap of Thrace, and Ptolemy, and satrap of Egypt, although Eumenes, satrap of Cappadocia, defeated the rebels in Asia Minor. Perdiccas himself was murdered by his own generals, possibly with Ptolemy's aid, during the invasion. Ptolemy came to terms with Perdiccas' murderers, making Pithon and Arrhidaeus regents in his place, but soon these came to a new agreement with Antipater the treaty. Antipater was made regent of the empire, and the two kings were moved to Macedon. Antigonus remained in charge of Asia Minor. Oh, 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 where are we at? No. Okay, became the regent of empire, and the two kings were moved to Macedon. Ptolemy regained Egypt, retained Thrace. Seleucus I controlled Babylon. The Second Diadochi War began following the death of Antipater. Passing over his own son, Antipater had declared Polyperchon his successor as regent. Cassander rose in revolt against Polyperchon, who was joined by Eumenes and was supported by Antigonus. Cassander invaded Macedonia, attaining control of Macedon, sentencing Olympias to death and capturing the boy king and his mother. In Asia, Eumenes was betrayed by his own men after years of campaign and was given up to Antigonus, who had him executed. The Third War of the Diadochi broke out because of the growing power and ambition of Antigonus. He began removing and appointing satraps as if he were king, and also raided the royal treasuries in Patana, ancient city capital of Median Kingdom. Correspondence and Susa making off with 25,000 talents. Seleucus was forced to flee to Egypt, and Antigonus was soon at war with Ptolemy. He then invaded Phoenicia, laid siege to Tyre, stormed Gaza, and began building a fleet. Ptolemy invaded Syria and defended Antigonus' son Demetrius. Cassander had a young king, Alexander IV, and his mother Roxana murdered, ending the Argead dynasty. The Argead dynasty, also known as the Achaemenid dynasty, was an ancient Macedonian royal house of Dorian Greek provenance. They were the founders and the ruling dynasty of the Kingdom of Macedon from about 700 to 310 BC, which had ruled Macedon for several centuries. Antigonus then sent his son Demetrius to regain control of Greece. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. At this point, the tripartite territorial division of the Hellenistic age was in place, with the main Hellenistic powers being Macedon under Demetrius' son Antigonus II, Gonatas, the Ptolemaic kingdom under Ptolemy's son Ptolemy II, and the Seleucid Empire under Seleucus' son Antiochus I Soter, Underbold. Balkans, Hellenistic Near East, Ptolemaic Kingdom, Seleucid Empire, Galatia, Nabatean Kingdom, Cappadocia, mountainous region situated between Pontus and Taurus Mountains was ruled by a Persian dynasty. Satrap of Cappadocia under the Persians, and after the conquest of Alexander, he retained his post. He was defeated by humans and crucified in 322 BC, but his son Ariarathes II managed to regain the throne and maintain his autonomy against the warring Diadochi. Three took the title of king and married Stratonus, a daughter of Antiochus II, remaining an ally of the Seleucid kingdom. Under Ariarathes IV, Cappadocia came into relations with Rome first as a foe, espousing the cause of Antiochus the Great. Antiochus the Great, then as an ally against Perseus of Macedonia, finally in a war against the Seleucids. Pi also waged a war with Rome against Aristonicus, a claimant to the throne of Pergamon. Their forces were annihilated in 130 BC. This defeat allowed Pontus to invade and conquer the kingdom. Armenia, Parthia, Judea, Kingdom of Pontus, Greco-Bactrians, Indo-Greek, Indo-Greek, Jananda, even more isolated position, and thus the details of the Indo-Greek kingdoms are even more obscure than for Bactria. Many supposed kings in India are known only because of coins bearing their name after the death of the Greco-Bactrian king Demetrius. Civil wars between Bactrian kings in India allowed Apollodotus I from Apollodotus Paladatta. Paladatta, known in Indian sources as Paladatta, was an Indo-Greek king from 180 BC to 160 BC. From Taxila in the Punjab region, the areas of Sindh and possibly Gujarat. Make himself independent as the first proper Indo-Greek king who did not rule from Bactria. Large numbers, large numbers of his coins have been found in India, and he seems to have reigned in Gandhara as well as Western Punjab. Gandhara as well as Western Punjab. Polydorus I was succeeded by a rule alongside Antimachus II. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful, what do we call it? Oh shit, I forgot the breed of this dog. It's a beautiful dog looking at me right now. Antimachus II, likely the son of Bactrian king. Antimachus I. So conquering the Indo-Greeks, the Kushan Empire took over. Kushan Empire was a syncretic empire formed by the UAZ and the Bactrian territories in the early first century. It spread to encompass much of what is now Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Eastern Iran, and northern India. Wow. Yeah, this is big. This is big. Took over Greco-Buddhism, the Greek language, Greek script, Greek coinage, and artistic style. Greeks continued being an important part of the cultural world of India for generations. The depictions of the Buddha appear to have influenced by Greek culture. Buddha representations in the Gandhara period often showed Buddha under the protection of Heracles. Several references in Indian literature praise the knowledge of the Yavana or the Greek. The Mahabharata compliments them as the all-knowing Yavanas. Or all-knowing, the Suras are particularly so. The Mlekas, wedded to the creations of their own fancy satisfying machines that are generally called Viman. The Brihat Samhita of the mathematician Varahamihira says Greeks, though impure, must be honored since they were trained in sciences and therein excelled others. Statuette of Nike, Greek goddess, victory. First representations of Buddha, bust of Zeus. Hmm, hmm, literature. Okay, wow, beautiful, beautiful. We learned about Alexander IV. That was crazy. Okay, right, let's look at this. I don't know how to spell it. Pyrrhonism, Pyrrhonism. Let's see how is it different from Stoicism. Why do we need, why did the Greeks have to come up with a different philosophy than Stoicism? How the ancient Greeks reinvented Buddhism. So it's Buddhism. Okay. Skepticism, philosophical arguments, and beliefs. Okay, let's see. Ancient Greek school of philosophical skepticism is characterized by several key beliefs and practices: suspension of judgment, Pyrrhonist, advocate for the suspension of judgment, epoche, epoch, epoche, on all matters, especially those that are non-evident or philosophical. This suspension is aimed at achieving ataraxia, a state of tranquility or freedom from disturbance. Ataraxia is the goal. The ultimate aim of Pyrrhonism is to achieve ataraxia, an untroubled and tranquil condition of the soul which results from suspending judgment on all beliefs. Rejection of dogma. Pyrrhonists reject all dogmas which are beliefs about non-evident matters. Reject all dogmas which are beliefs about non-evident matters. They argue that dogmatists, including rival philosophies, claim to have found truth, which prevents one from attaining eudaimonia, human flourishing. The goal is to achieve an untroubled and tranquil condition of the soul, which results from suspending judgment on all beliefs. Reject all dogmas. They argue that dogmatists, including rival philosophies, claim to have found truth, which prevent one from attaining eudaimonia, human flourishing. Modes of argument. Pyrrhonists use various modes or tropes to argue against dogmatic beliefs. These include the 10 modes of Demis, which provide reasons for suspension of judgment based on differences in perception, individual variation, and the relativity of knowledge. The five tropes of Agrippa, which further develop skepticism by questioning the reliability of sense perception, the circularity of arguments, and the infinite regress of justification. Criteria of action. Pyrrhonists follow appearances and act according to the guidance of nature, sensation and thoughts, the compulsion of passions, hunger and thirst, customs and laws of society, instruction, intellect, craft or skill. Skeptic sayings. Pyrrhonists use sayings to remind themselves to suspend judgment, such as not more, nothing more, not more, nothing more, non assertion, perhaps it is possible, maybe. I withhold assent. I determine nothing. Everything is indeterminate. Everything is non-apprehensible. I do not apprehend. To every argument, an equal argument is opposed. To every argument, an equal argument is opposed. Emphatic, emph- emphatic, aporectic, and zetectic approaches. Pyrrhonists can be emphatic, merely suspending judgment on a matter, aporetic, aporetic, actively engaging in refutation to reach a state of perplexity, aporia, leading to suspension of judgment, continually searching for truth but suspending belief due to the inability to find conclusive evidence. Practical living. Despite the suspension of judgment, parents live according to the customs and habits of the society, which provide guidance for action without the need for belief in their truth. Avoidance of inactivity. Are not paralyzed by the skepticism. They act based on appearances and the criteria of action, avoiding the pitfalls of inactivity or inconsistency. Puranists emphasize that all perceptions are relative, and knowledge is influenced by various factors like the subject, object, and their interaction. How does Pyrrhonism achieve ataraxia? Freedom from anxiety. By suspending judgment on matters that are non-evident, Pyrrhonists aim to free themselves from the anxiety of seeking definitive answers. This freedom from anxiety is seen as a result of a life without suffering. Pyrrhonism has a psychotherapeutic orientation aiming to achieve unperturbedness ataraxia regarding non-evident matters. This is seen as a way to bring about eudaimonia, or human flourishing. Pyrrhonists emphasize that all perceptions are relative, and knowledge is influenced by various factors like the subject, object, and their interaction. This understanding helps in suspending judgment on non-evident matters, leading to ataraxia. Greek phalanx formation. Greek warriors fought in phalanx-like tactical formation consisting of heavy armed soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder with shields interlocked.